Hi everyone, my name is Alyssa and that is Marie, aka Bama. We are Fuel the System Podcast, and today we are exploring how modern diet culture disconnects people from their bodies. And we are going to go into trial and error and how our mindset can affect what we're eating, what we're doing with exercise, and staying on track with consistency. So we have some really fun stuff to talk about today. Bama, let's dive in to it.
Let's do it. I think first thing we should talk about is trial and error because I think it's usually more error. And the reason that I say that is because most people will try something new to see if it works. It doesn't work immediately. And so they quit. And when I say immediately, it's usually like 2 to 4 days. They should be doing it for 2 to 4 weeks. It needs to actually have time to either work or not work. And people don't have the patience for it. And I think that's where, we could probably tie in instant gratification into this conversation.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I really think that people want, when we talk about Amazon, right? Because people, and I say Amazon freely because it's like when you put an order in for Amazon, you're expecting it that day of. Even like, well, now they have like the 4 a.m., 8 a.m., situation. And you're like, yeah, I'll pay the $2.99 for that. Like we're just so prone to seeing things be delivered right on time. And when it comes to our bodies, that's not the case. It also transferred into Western medicine where, if you're feeling sick, they're like, here's an antibiotic, take the antibiotic, and, you'll be healed and good. But you're killing all the bacteria, I guess that, all the good and bad bacteria in your systems. When it comes to diets and stuff like that as well, we expect that instant gratification, but it's really not there. It's just not gonna, it's unrealistic situation. So yeah, I think 2 months even sometimes I think is better. You know what I mean? Like because you really need to see consistency. It really depends on what you're doing. It's how you're eating, what if you're exercising, because you're not going to see results right away unless you drop sugar, which everyone will see results in, like, the first 3 weeks you'll notice, or 2 weeks you'll notice that you're going to lose 10 pounds just from not eating processed foods or sugars.
For sure.
What do you think?
You know, with that, I'll come back to that part, the losing 10 pounds real fast. But with that too, with trial and error, the reason I say it's mostly error, yes, they don't try it for long enough, but how are you gauging what's actually working? Are you keeping up with your energy levels? Because that's one thing you should really keep up with. Are you keeping up with how you feel when you wake up? Maybe how you sleep. Do you feel like you slept enough? Did you fall asleep fast? Did you stay asleep? Do you feel like you woke up refreshed? Because whatever you're trying can definitely affect your sleep. And we've talked about electrolytes a lot. Sleep is the next magic pill, if you will, for things that are so important. And how are you keeping up with this stuff? You're probably not.
No, and you're probably binge watching Netflix at night.
Yeah.
It's interrupting sleep patterns for sure. Sleep is so huge for everyone. And yeah, I do agree with you with errors are, more prominent. Sometimes they're afraid to do new things as well, right? Like they're afraid to change their patterns. I don't know if you've ever had encountered someone like that, but like almost like they can't commit to it.
Hmm. For sure. I think in this, we'll kind of a little bit go into fad diets, but a lot of times with trial and error, not only are you not tracking the things that you need to track while you're trying these things, like, is it actually working? How do you know if it's actually working? You're just trying something new and hoping that you magically lose 30 pounds. So earlier you said if you cut out sugar, you cut out processed foods, you'll lose 10 pounds fast. That's true. That's true with most fad diets, whether you're doing keto, which we'll get into, but any diet like that, even paleo, because paleo I think is a great diet because you're focusing on whole foods. But with paleo there and keto, you're going to lose weight fast and it's probably going to be water weight. And anytime that you try something new, especially if it works, and especially if you're cutting carbs, you're going to lose water weight really fast.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be honest. Well, any kind of trend diet, the first thing that ever happens is you got to cut out sugar, you got to cut out processed foods. When you are automatically going to do that, then you're going to lose the weight. It doesn't matter what diet you're doing. And if they all have that in common, then you're going to see results and be like, yeah, this diet works for me. It's like after you get a certain amount of poundage off, it could be like 10, maybe to 15 pounds. It's kind of like where they'll start to hit the mark and they'll be like, okay, it's not working anymore. why am I not losing the weight? You get really frustrated, you get upset, but you have to remember you just basically, yes, water weight, and also you're reducing inflammation in your body too. That puffiness, the bloating, that's going to go down if if you're cutting out sugar and processed uh foods automatically. And all of them pretty much do that, like low FODMAP diet, vegetarian, whole 30. That's a good one. That's Whole 30 is the one I started on when I was like younger, when it was a bigger trend. I've done a lot of the trend diets specifically. I've done Whole 30, I've done low FODMAP, I've done keto. I haven't really done keto, but that's why I want to talk to you about it, because I think it's interesting, the concept behind it as well. Because when I did it, it was back in the day where everyone was like, let's eat slabs of bacon, and that is keto. And I was like, oh, I could do this diet. I love friggin' bacon. Who didn't love bacon?
It's the old bacon.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was like not I didn't never understood I wasn't educated enough to understand the concept behind the reasoning for them to lose the weight, where it was just like, yeah, you're cutting out carbs or you're replacing with healthy fats, and your body's running off of the healthy fats. That's what they do, right? Supposedly. But really, I mean, we don't see the difference between, no, I do. I kind of do and I don't, of carnivore in that, besides the fact of you're not eating any vegetables really on the carnivore diet. You're just eating protein but yeah, I don't know. Keto is weird because they do have like desserts and stuff in there too, right?
As long as it's low carb, you
Mhm.
can make it work as a dessert. And I think that's become a big thing with really just social media. If you look at a lot of influencers, they're like,
Okay.
you can eat this healthy dessert because it's low calorie. It only has 30 calories in it, but it's so much processed food. They use a lot of the sugar-free whipped cream, which I don't even know what's in it. I've never looked at the ingredients and I don't really want to. I don't care to. A lot of sugar-free pudding mix is in these desserts. And just because it's sugar-free, we've talked about this before, just because it's sugar-free doesn't make it healthy.
No, it doesn't. And I want to just piggyback off of that, because there's nothing more irritating to me. I think this is my biggest pet peeve of anything I've ever seen in my food existence of nutrition, is I see all these people that are gluten free that are telling these people to make these gluten free cakes and cookies. And we're doing gluten free fast casual place now. And there was nothing more irritating to me to see that it's all stuck with tapioca syrup instead of this or whatever it may be. They're just rice flour, but a bunch of stuff, not just like one thing, right? And then they're like, it's fine though. You can make this gluten free. I don't know. I got into an argument about this with somebody before, but even like sweet potato brownies, I'm not gonna go and sit and eat 7 sweet potato brownies in a row. I could, but you shouldn't. And it's gluten free stuff. When people see that, they're like, I could just eat the Oreos, right? You eat the Oreos, and you're not gonna have one Oreo. You
Yeah.
don't. There's no way, right? We don't know moderation. If we learned how to do moderation, that would be a different story. But like, yeah, sorry, I just got really mad. Gluten free,
Actually, I can piggyback off of 3 different things that you said. I
go
like
do
this
it.
though. Okay. The ophthalmologist that I work with, I love working with him. We have very similar views on health and nutrition.
Hmm.
And he asked me last week if there was one thing that you could change when it comes to the American diet, what would it be? Like just one rule. And so I asked him what he said because I couldn't think of anything at first. And he
Hmm.
said portion control.
Mm,
He said, if you start with portion control, even if they're eating crap, that's still not good. But people don't know
yeah.
portion control.
No.
And then I said sugar, cut out sugar. Because one thing that I've dealt with people when I work with nutrition is they don't understand why they're not losing weight. They don't eat anything. So I say, write down or send me, text me, whatever, every single thing, liquids included, that you eat throughout the day. And for breakfast, it was a Starbucks Frappuccino, which is 900 calories because they're like, I get the extra whip and the extra caramel or whatever. And so there is probably 900 calories there. And then
Hmm.
they might have a Red Bull energy drink for like a mid morning snack, if you want to call it that. And then they eat lunch finally, and their lunch is who knows what. Maybe it's something small, or maybe it is something like Zaxby's. And I got the Zaxby's Zensation salad, like that's so great for you. It still has cheese and tortilla chips and fried chicken and barbecue sauce, and you probably smothered it in the ranch that they give you. So there's so many calories in that, and you think you're eating healthy because it's a salad. And at the end of the day, they've eaten 3,000, 4,000 calories because they're also drinking Mountain Dews or sodas throughout the day. And then I'm also like, where's your water? Are you okay?
That's when I take a shower. That's when I get my water. That's what they say.
When I brush my teeth.
When I brush my teeth. Yeah. Oh, wild. Yeah. No, that is 100% accurate. I've had people do the same thing, tell me what they've eaten in a day. Okay, well, I see where the issue is. And it's like, okay, you're having the salad, and then all of a sudden you're adding in that Italian dressing, but the Italian dressing has all this sugar, all this corn syrup, the croutons and you name it. And it just adds up, right? At the end of the day, it adds up. But I
But
think
the croutons are gluten-free, so it's gotta be healthy.
exactly. You know what I mean? So why not? That's almost like if you go to Panera and they're like, "Oh, I have a gluten-free bread bowl," but have the soup in the bread bowl, eat the whole bread bowl, and then, I mean, not, come on. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, and then I think about this because when I went to Italy, I'm gonna just refer to this about, I think, probably like years ago, but it's just like the portion size is different. Now, granted, depending on where you are in Italy, it's like kind of the states, right? Like there's different areas and they do different portion sizes. Tuscany was pretty much the same. It wasn't overabundance of food on your plate. You know what I mean? It was, and believe it or not, they eat a lot more protein than they do. They'll have pasta, but they're not having the American version of pasta size plates. They're having this much and then the proteins on top. Like we do things so backwards.
Yeah.
And I don't know where it came from. I guess like Americanizes the term, right? But I just don't know where it came from. I'm kind of
Yeah.
speechless.
I think that goes to, like, even just making things homemade. Should you eat this huge bowl of pasta? No. If you make the pasta at home versus buying a box of pasta, it's gonna be way different. It is gonna be better. Your body is probably gonna process it better. And I'm
Yeah.
sure in Italy, they do make their own pasta versus buying bags and boxes of pasta.
Yeah, but I also do feel, and this goes back to portion control as well, is I really feel that even I'm gonna say this, like, trend of sourdough bread. I don't like no one likes sourdough bread, most people, right? But the thing is you can't eat bread all the time. That eventually it's still gonna turn into a sugar. It's a carb. You know what I mean? You're still gonna gain weight. You can eat it in moderation, and yes, I'm glad you're making it at home, but you're still gonna gain weight over time. And it's the biggest trend here is sourdough everything. And now if you put sourdough on sourdough cookies, sourdough cinnamon buns, people think it's healthy. It's not. It's not healthy.
Still full of sugar.
That's what I'm saying. It irritates me because you put these buzzwords in front of people and then they're like, okay, this is going to work for me and I'm eating healthier. And I mean, I know many people that do that, many people, and they all just want to, I don't know, not self-control, but they don't have as much discipline in what they eat than in like doing daily activities or something like that.
Yeah. Whole gluten-free. I mean, even keto, going back to keto, there's so many things you can buy keto bread at the store, and people would think that's healthy because it's keto. It's still not. My whole problem with keto, I'm not gonna act like it's one problem that I have with keto. I just hate keto. I think keto is the dumbest diet, one of the dumbest diets out there because you are cutting out a whole food group with fruits and vegetables because I think you can only have 50 grams of carbs a day or less.
No, like it's less
I've
than that. I
less,
think
like
it's
30
30
maybe.
or less.
30 is a banana.
That's what I'm saying. I
It's
think
a
it's way.
banana.
And I think that's a stretch. I think it's like 25 or 20. I'm gonna just say 30 though.
Okay, if it's 25, then an apple. You can't even eat an apple. Apples are good. There's a super old saying that you don't hear anymore, an apple a day keeps the doctor away, right?
Hmm.
Apples are not a miracle food, but they're good for you. You get nutrients from apples. You are cutting out fruits and vegetables where you get so many nutrients and vitamins and minerals. You're cutting that out completely. And I think, too, that's different than the carnivore diet where you probably don't eat many fruits and vegetables. However, beef is one of the most nutritious things if
Yeah.
it's lean beef. It's one of the most nutritious things. The only thing more nutritious than that as far as meat and stuff goes is liver, and I don't think anyone's just eating liver. And people think that chicken is so great, and chicken, it is good. It's awesome. You don't get that much nutrients from chicken. So with keto, you're cutting out all this stuff, and like you said, they're eating slabs of bacon because they need the fat, and they're putting butter in their coffee or probably just biting sticks of butter. I don't know what they're doing. They're
I've seen that.
eating. That's so gross.
I've seen this one carnivore woman do that. I'm not gonna say anything more about it, but it's a little disturbing to me, but whatever.
And they're eating cheeses to try to help, and you're not really doing yourself justice. Actually, now all you're doing is your body is dying for energy because you're just filling it full of crap and still not giving any carbs to it. Carbs are so important.
I agree with you. I think, especially as someone who I've said I've done a lot of different diets and I've stuck to the carnivore diet, but I now do, I guess it's more animal. I would say it's animal based diet, which is it's a whole nother thing. Another, if I had to be in a category, I guess that's what it would be because like explaining it otherwise would make no sense. But there was the guy that started the carnivore, or he was one of them that started the carnivore diet. He realized that for him, it wasn't working with just meat and he needed something to like help him because he's middle aged. He wanted more carbs to help with his hormone balance and stuff. So he implemented some new stuff, but he also had mast cells. I think it's when you're allergic to a lot of different foods. So he had to eliminate a ton of stuff because he had a legitimate diagnosis. The food is not agreeing with you. So you have to cut and eliminate a ton of things. So that's why he kind of did the carnivore diet and then he went over and started to venture out to the animal diet. The problem I have with carnivore diet, keto, why we have to name things we're doing is really beyond me. You can just eat however the frig you want to eat. And if it works for your body, it does. I think for me, the dirty carnivore diet is not even dirty because I do eat carbs. I eat sweet potatoes at least. And then sometimes I'll eat, almond butter or I'll have zucchini, stuff I'm like lower. I guess I go more scientific, fam. I go more off of what these vegetables carry, which a lot of people don't realize they have different things like lectins. I don't know if you know about that.
Not
You know what I'm
much.
talking about? Like, yeah, like they have the compounds, their defense mechanisms, compounds in the vegetables. So when you eat them, they actually react in your body because as humans, right, we can fight off of our predators. You know what I mean? Animals fight their predators. Plants do it in a way of chemicals. That's their
Mhm.
way of fighting. So when you consume vegetables, you actually have that compound in you and it gets dispersed through your body and then it reacts. So there's some people that can do well with beans. Some people can't do well with beans, right? There's some people that can do good with beets, but can't do well with beets because they have oxalates and oxalates may not do well with that person's body. And that's their defense compound. So when you break down the carnivore diet, and I just wanted to break that down for people to understand, I do more based on what my body can withstand of the compound of a vegetable, which is so freaking nerdy. But that's how I do it, and it works because I found out I can have almond butter but can't do peanut butter. I can't eat beets but I can have zucchini, So that's how I do my thing. Just because I don't want people to watch this and be like, "Well, Alyssa, you do carnivore, and that's kind of hypocritical of you, right?"
Yeah.
So I just want to cover my base. I do more scientific that works with my body, with what I deal with on an autoimmune level. So
Mhm.
I did want to just cover that, but I do believe that, yeah, I don't like that people do this where they're like, okay, here's keto, you have to eat a shit ton of bacon and fats and then cut out carbs completely. That's ridiculous. We're not in the Stone Age, and I think that's where I differ from carnivore diet altogether is there's very people are very cult-esque about this, Well, our ancestors used to only have berries during the winter, and then you only eat like small amounts of this and that's fine. Whatever. But also we're not in that kind of we have agriculture. We're not in that if our food didn't get sprayed with all the chemicals it did and the nutrients in our soils didn't get depleted, I don't think we would really have much of a problem.
True.
There's
Very true.
evolution, my friend. And it's like
Yeah.
you either agree with it or you don't. Like we did like it's just like domesticating dogs. Just like domesticating dogs. Not all of them are gonna do good on a raw diet unless you start them on a raw diet. They're used to kibble or cooked foods or you know what I mean? That's what they are now. They're used to being inside rather than outside. Now they have more allergies. So it's like
Yeah.
things change. So sorry, that fueled me. I just want to tell you that's what bothers me is like when people do that stuff.
Yeah.
They're like, you're wrong. You're not keto. You're not this. You're not you. I'm whatever I want to be. Like, who are you gonna tell me? That's my body. Sorry.
You know, another thing that I don't
Yeah.
like is intermittent fasting for two reasons.
Okay.
One, it's actually not great for women because it disrupts their hormones way too much
Go.
and it spikes cortisol.
Yep.
With that, I also hate it because man or woman, doesn't matter, use it as a reason to eat less. That's not how it works. You go through a period of time a long period of time where you don't eat, but then you're supposed to eat all of your caloric intake in that window that you're supposed to be eating, not eat less. You're supposed to still eat the same amount.
Well, there's also a kicker to that too. Now, what they're finding is if you don't eat any carbs whatsoever, if you just do a carnivore diet, like if you're just eating meat and olive oil, you're technically your body is consistently in an autophagy state. You've heard of autophagy or something like that says? So basically, this is why people are doing what they're doing. So instead of intermittent fasting, they're extending their fast to like 18 or 19 hours or more, because what happens is it actually does trigger in your intestinal lining stem cell growth. So it'll start repairing your system, which is fantastic. That's amazing. People with autoimmune diseases, they'll try that and it will work.
Mhm.
You will go through a Hertz reaction where you'll start to like kind of with not withdraw, but like you get, things start to clear up and things start to kill. Your killer cells come out. So you start actually functioning a little better. But the issue with that is that they're finding you don't need to do that. If you're not eating any type of carb for the whole day, you're technically in autophagy because you're running off of fats and healthy protein. So
Mhm.
like I said, this goes back to trending and fad diets. What are you telling me? You gaining all this science and knowledge, and then now we have to change what we've been doing forever? It's like it's too complicated. Even for nutritionists, it's too complicated.
Yeah, that's true. I've heard of a couple of people going through like some sort of fast. And I think it was like a 72-hour fast. However, they worked very closely with a dietitian. They didn't do this thing where they binge eat and then fast for 72 hours. They just ate their normal daily food, their healthy food. During their 72-hour fast, they still walked a lot. They didn't do any intense activity, but they would still walk, so they were still moving. They drank a ton of water with electrolytes, and they could still have coffee, but it had to be black coffee, nothing in it, because that would break the fast. And they went through this phase in their body. Inflammation was down, they weren't bloated, and then they went back to their normal eating. They just didn't jump right directly into however much they were eating. They would just eat maybe smaller portions at first so they didn't overload their body. And these are athletes, like high level athletes that did this. And so they typically eat a lot in a day to fuel them and fuel their training and all that stuff. They didn't just jump back into 3,000 plus calories that they were eating to fuel themselves. It might have been 2,000 and then worked their way up, but they were still eating clean before and then after. A lot of times I think when people try to do some sort of fast or juice cleanse or whatever, it's like they want to binge first and then use the juice cleanse to make themselves feel better. And you're just really messing with your metabolic system so much by doing that.
Yeah,
It
and you're
doesn't work.
you're screwing up your hormones too. You know what I mean? Like, for women, that's the big issue, right? With intermittent fasting is that you're raising your cortisol levels, you're putting your body in fight or flight. It's in survival mode. So now it's running off of your hormone levels are off the roof, right? So that's why that's really not great for women for intermittent fasting, especially if you're in a very sensitive state your body is in. I do definitely like everything you said with the whole story about, about the athletes and how they gradually went back into it. As a person that I've done fasting for, I think the most I fasted for was like 36 hours, 38 hours. Because it was something I tried. Like so when you have an autoimmune, you kind of try everything, you kind of gotta feel better. You know what I mean? So it's just like trial and error, right? And it's scary because it's trial and error. But what I found with what I did is I had a medical practitioner help, like a holistic medical practitioner help me through it. But basically what we would do is have olives, like snack on olives, because there's essentially like no carbs to olives and they have a fat. So you can snack on that if you did get hungry while you're fasting, and also eggs. If you wanted one egg, if you like felt you couldn't go and couldn't had to eat something, you could do an egg, and then bone broth, and then also having electrolytes. So I'm just gonna say that in there in case someone is fasting or wants to fast and wants to do it in the correct manner. The best way to do it, if you do feel like you have to break the fast at some point, you could do essentially those things. Now, Bam is absolutely right. You shouldn't be binge eating beforehand. You should be eating like normal. And you also shouldn't be binge eating afterwards. You should actually be going gradually back into it. So start with a bone broth for lunch, then go into a light meal for dinner, and then you go back to normal slowly. You can't go right back into it. Then your body's going to be in full shock. So, and electrolytes while you're fasting is so important, especially people that aren't athletic and are trying to, I don't know, daily life, you're stressing your body out. You're putting your body in a stressful state. That's why it's able to eat at your fat cells, right? Essentially, that's what it does. It eats away your fat cells so that you
Mhm.
lose weight a little bit quicker. But for women, it really isn't great for an intermittent fasting, at least as from what my understanding. And I actually tell my clients, really, you could do it if it works for you, but if it doesn't work for you, you feel it doesn't work for you, don't do it. And that's the only way you're gonna have to try it yourself.
My whole thing too with diets is that you can go on a diet and lose 30 pounds, and maybe that was your goal, was to lose 30 pounds. And then you go off the diet and you're like, that worked. But then you almost immediately gain it all back, sometimes more, or sometimes maybe you won't gain all 30 pounds back, but you'll gain 20 pounds back. Either way, you're gaining most or all of the weight back. So did the diet
Hmm.
really work? No.
No, it's all mindset. Like I said, it's really a diet is temporary. That's why people don't like using the term diet anymore, right? Because it's something that's a trend. It's something that people can make money off of. It's something that people will advertise even if it didn't work for them very well. And like going back to the GLP-1s, it's like seeing these people said, yeah, I've done this. We don't know what they're actually doing. You also have these influencers out here that are doing things that aren't necessarily true. You know what I mean? Just because you're seeing it on your screen doesn't mean it's actually being done. And or being done in that hardcore sense. Like there's also a guy that is that I follow that I was following on Instagram, and he was a carnivore. Or he's called carnivore something connoisseur, something like that. But he makes carnivore recipes, right? But he's not strictly carnivore, but calls himself carnivore, and he's putting raw honey because he's using raw honey. He thinks it's healthy. He's putting raw honey. He's making ice cream from scratch. So now you have people that are making ice cream from scratch that are doing the carnivore diet that are on the carnivore diet because it needs to be literally it's such a restrictive diet so that you don't eat any sugar whatsoever. A lot of people that do it have type 2 diabetes or very, very overweight. That's who I've seen really do keto. I mean, not keto, carnivore. Even keto, as I've seen that too with diabetes. But it really irks me when you think you see something on TV, like Instagram or something like that, and they're not.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're talking about. They don't.
There's one influencer that she pops up all the time. And don't get me wrong, I like her recipes, so I like to get ideas from her. She makes some pretty good recipes. With her, though, she always talks about how in every single video, she shows a video of when she was bigger and then a video of her now. And she's like, this is one of the meals that I ate to lose all this weight. The thing is, the weight that she lost was baby weight because she had a baby. You weren't just big from eating whatever and gaining weight and getting to a point where you want to live a healthy lifestyle. You had a baby. You're most likely going to lose that baby fat anyways, at least some of it.
Yeah. Your body's gonna change on its own. It's
Influence.
like that gluten-free lady that pops up, but she's very popular. I don't even care, the Loopy Whisk or something. She's very popular. I don't know if you've ever seen her desserts. She makes all these desserts, all these cookies, all these things, and they're all gluten-free for gluten-free people, and they love them. But it's so irritating because it's like she has a cookbook and everything. I'm like, dude, it's not healthy.
Yeah.
I don't wanna argue with people because I don't know if you ever encountered this, but it's like you have people that will talk to you about this stuff, and then they get mad at you because 'cause you're like, "Okay, well, it's still sugar." You know what I mean? You're still eating sugar. Yes, you can have stuff. Within moderation, you can have stuff. Maybe once a week, or even 2 times a week, but don't be when you're eating it every day, every night, because that's your midnight snack or whatever, and you're like, "I'm not losing the weight." I don't wanna hear it.
Yeah. I have people that they want me to get mad that they're eating unhealthy. I'm not mad at you for eating unhealthy.
Me too.
You decide. And like, especially um if my coworkers aren't that bad about it. But
Mhm.
we have reps bring us stuff all the time, barbecue, taco bars, pizza, like we burger bars, so many different things. It's never really healthy. Sometimes they'll bring us Mediterranean food, which is definitely going to be better. But I have my own food
Mhm.
that I spent money on. I spent time meal prepping it. It's portioned out for me. I'm going to eat it. and it's way easy for me to stick with it because I meal prep. But people are like, "Oh, of course you're eating your healthy meal," and it's like they kind of either want me to get mad because I'm eating healthy, I'm not mad about it, or they want me to get mad because they're eating unhealthy. I don't care what you do. You do what you want to do. If you are wanting me to get mad at you for eating unhealthy, it's because you're mad at yourself, but you're going to eat it anyways. So what are we doing here? Let me just eat my food. Leave me alone.
Yeah. And two things I want to say to that is one, when I first started eating healthy, when I had to go to a couple events, and I'm an Italian family, whenever we go to any event, there's like tons of carbs, but it's all crap. It's like the same thing. Chicken franchise, it's always like that with some pasta and some freaking, I don't know, crazy ass carbs. And it's like I wasn't eating any of that stuff. So they're like, "Well, what's wrong? Are you okay?" Like, I swear on my mom right now that people have literally in the middle of an event gone to me in like a freaking baby shower, was like, or a bridal shower, whatever it was. Are you okay? And I'm like, "Yeah," because I mean salad and like just protein or something, right? I'm fine. She goes, "But you're barely eating anything." I said, "Well, one, there's like carb, fat processed on there. And two, I'm just trying to eat better. But
Yeah.
like, you're being judgmental towards me and I'm eating clean, but look at you."
Yes.
And that bothers me because that's a societal thing. It's a societal thing where it's okay, the people that are eating healthy are the unnormal ones.
We're weird now. We're crazy now. Uh,
Yes. So that
two
that
things
was
I want to
one of the
add to
things.
that.
Do that though.
So,
No, add to
for
it.
one, get you some really supportive friends because I have to shout out my friend Brittany. She's my other best friend from college because I was in her wedding. She got married in 2017, 2018, somewhere around there. Uh,
Hmm.
I wanna say it was 2017. Either way, 2017, 2018, she got married. I was in her wedding, and I went and stayed with her for a few days, and we did the whole thing. I was one of her bridesmaids, and I told her, I said, "Just so you know, I'm bringing my own food. I'm gonna make my own breakfast. I know that you'll feed me and everything, but I'm gonna bring my own food." And she was like, "Yeah, that's cool." I never felt any judgment. I woke up in the mornings, they had their breakfast, and I made my own breakfast. Never felt judgment. We still ate breakfast together. We still had coffee together, and it was still normal. I didn't feel like I was crazy. So shout out to her and her family because they were totally cool with the fact that I was making my own food, that I brought my own food. It was nothing against them. I just wanted to eat my own food. I wanted to eat healthy. But to piggyback off of what you said, it is a societal thing too nowadays for people to we eat healthy. We're healthy people. I work out
Hmm.
aggressively. I work out a lot consistently. It's not a lot, it's consistent. I work out 4 or 5 days a week. Nothing super crazy. I typically only work out once a day. It's not like I'm working out 3 times a day every single day. It's just consistent.
Hmm.
People think I live at the gym. People think I'm probably crazy because I eat all this food. The thing is, when you take a healthy person who is doing all these things, people don't want to bring themselves up to your level, so they're trying to bring you down to theirs because
Hmm.
they're so worried about the way that they're eating, what they're eating, the way that they look, how much they weigh, all kinds of different things. And instead of fixing it, they're just trying to bring you down so you feel as bad as they do. Drives me crazy.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that because that's like in the beginning, like that's what I'm talking about. Like maybe like 3 years ago when I really changed everything. I'm sorry, it's 4 years ago because time flies. It's 4 years ago. That's how they were in the beginning. But then like I had to tell like even like my mom and like, family members because that's who I'm around most of my time. And I'm like I'm okay and we're gonna eat. And I did the same thing you did, Bam. I'm like I started bringing my own food. I started making my own food, making the food there so that other people could have it. And then eventually my cousins are like two of the most pickiest eaters and they're relatively healthy girls. Like they're in college. But when I lived with my aunt for a little bit to save up some money for her house and they started eating what I was eating and they loved it. You know what I mean? And not that I try to do that, but I it's good because now when I go to events, with my family now, they eat mostly protein, mostly grilled foods. They'll have the salad, they'll have a lot of vegetables. As an Italian household, I have to tell you, there's like barely bread anymore. And
Yeah.
that's huge. Like that's insane to me. You know what I'm saying? Because that's if when I was a kid, we went to church on Sunday. We went to grandmother's right after that, and we would have Italian. Yeah, I'm serious. Gravy and pasta. It was gravy because that's the Italian I was. And it was Italian loaf breads. And I would sit there and I would eat like 7 or 8 pieces of bread with the butter, dip. And I was weird. I used to dip it in the vinegar. Don't judge me, Bama. And then, and the gravy.
Yeah.
It changed. It changed because when I started changing and I started to look good and started to feel better about myself, everyone was like, well, I want to do that too. And I think that's really cool because now you're starting to make a difference. So, yes, having support is super huge because even people that aren't a part of it will maybe eventually be a part of it.
Yeah. And I think, going back to trial and error and diets and everything, making excuses is a huge thing. When people
Hmm.
tell me all the time, oh, I just ate this because I didn't have time. I don't know how many times I have to tell you to meal prep, but meal prep. Because if there's some nights that I don't get home until 7 and I like to go to bed at like 8:30 because I'm old and because I get up early. There's
No,
not
me
much
too.
time in there for me to shower and decompress and make dinner and do dishes, like clean the kitchen. Like, I don't have time to do that stuff, but I meal prep so I can put my food in the microwave for 2 or 3 minutes. Hello, it's ready. Also, with that, when people travel, I understand
Mm.
that when you're traveling, your nutrition is probably not going to be perfect, on point. That's okay. You can still do your best. When we go to the beach, we typically get an Airbnb or a hotel that has a kitchen. We make our own breakfast every single morning. For lunches, a lot of times we'll make sandwiches and get like some sort of healthy chip, like Sieta chips or something. Is that going to be the healthiest and most nutritious? No, but it's still going to be better than if we went and got chicken tenders or pizza or whatever. And then dinner, we might go out to eat somewhere, and most nights we'll pick somewhere where there's healthier options. People don't do that. People are like, well, I hear a lot of people say that because I usually teach people how to track macros, but I don't force people to do it because I understand macros is not for most people, honestly. But they're like, well, I was traveling and I couldn't track, so I just ate whatever. Okay, that's not how that works. You can still eat well. Or, well, my work is the one that got me my hotel and there's no kitchen, so I couldn't make my own breakfast. Okay, do they have a continental breakfast? Because you can at least find some sort of healthy option there. You could get oatmeal or something and make it in your room if they have a microwave. Or you could find some sort of restaurant where you can get eggs and maybe like a vegetable omelet or something. You could figure it out. But people don't do that. They just say, I'm traveling, I don't care.
That's so I'm glad you brought that up because Megan and I are very much the same as you guys. Cause like, so we go to Cape Cod usually every summer. We will literally, like, we've had we try to get a place with a kitchen. Sometimes it's a little more expensive, but if we didn't do it, which we didn't get, I think last time we went, we had one that was on off the beach. It only had a microwave. So we meal prepped for the whole time we were down there for all our lunches and even got like little breakfast snacks, or we can go get eggs or something for breakfast. It's not a problem, bacon, whatever. But then we would go out for dinner. We would or we'd go out for lunch and not go out for dinner, but we would use the meal prep. So we meal prepped before we even went out. And it was funny because we were driving, we were driving. I pull out a chicken cutlet. Are you really doing this right now? Yes, I am doing this right now. I've made tons, but people don't get it. When you start to feel good about yourself, you don't want to go back. When you have the energy, when your brain is functioning properly, when you don't feel the aches and pains, you're like, no, I don't ever want to feel this way again. So you do the things, yeah, you want to enjoy your vacation. If you drink like up, if you're going to drink a sugary margarita drink, eat chips and salsa and all this other stuff, you're probably not going to feel good the next day. But it's okay to do that if you have a balance while you're on vacation where it's like, okay, well, I have meal prep or I have something that I can eat that's healthy for lunch and breakfast. You know what I mean? I don't know. That's the way we do it. I'm exactly like you. We'll bring our food. We'll make food. When we went to Arizona, I did the same thing. We had a kitchen. I made food. I brought it everywhere with us. I don't care. Don't
Yeah,
care.
that's how we
Just don't
are.
care.
Even,
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, when we travel somewhere, typically one of our favorite things to do is find a local pizza spot and just try
Hmm.
to find the best pizza that we can. And we eat pizza
Yeah.
one time, just once. We just eat
Yeah.
it one time.
Yeah.
And it's, and people come up with so many different excuses with it. You're telling me you couldn't find some sort of Mediterranean place, like Cava is a chain restaurant, but you could make a grain bowl there. You're telling me that they didn't have a Chick-fil-A. Everyone has Chick-fil-A. You can get grilled nuggets and fruit. You can make it work. Is it going to be perfect? No, but it's going to be better than just saying, whatever, I'm on vacation. And then you come back from vacation and you've gained 12 pounds. And that can happen. I went to New Orleans in 2019,
Mhm.
and that was a trip that I drank a lot. And
Makes sense.
I I really did eat whatever. I don't know that we ate healthy one time there, and I'm not even
It's
kidding you.
fun.
We left either on Thursday or Friday, and we came back Sunday. We were only there for 2 or 3 days. I'm not even kidding you when I tell you that I gained 11 pounds, and I felt terrible.
Yeah. Well, it's very there's a lot of heavy food there. And it's a lot of not I'm not saying poor man's food, but it's kind of the jambalaya or whatever, and the Creole. It's all rice and fried foods and stuff. Not and I'm not saying poor man's food. Oh my god, whatever. I don't care. You can cancel me. But it's just like that's the way it is. Italians are poor man's food too. Okay. Yeah. I'm even crazy enough, Bama, to where some people don't know this, so I'm gonna say it. You can literally bring food to an airport and on the plane. Okay. People don't realize that. I used to, even when used to not, when I wasn't carnivore, I used to bring oatmeal if I had to at the day, or if I was going for breakfast. Now I literally make 2 eggs and I'll make burger patties and I put them in a glass container and they go right through security, no problem. They'll make fun of me sometimes at TSA. Oh, you're bringing actual food. They'll stop me and like scan it. Yeah, but you can see it's just food. I actually one time for collagen when I was taking collagen, they had to open up the container and test it for residue from mom. Like it's just for collagen. Yeah. It's funny, but you can bring actual food. And a lot more places, believe it or not, are allowing you to bring in food because there's so many people with allergies now to
Yeah.
everything. They're just allowing. So I just feel like if you're traveling, you can definitely make it work. You know what I mean? And then I'm not saying you have to go and make yourself eggs and then bring them on a plane. I'm not saying that, but you don't also have to spend $30 on an egg sandwich at an airport if you can spend $2 on eggs.
Yeah.
No, you're also being really cost effective, and that's why it helps us when we go to Cape Cod. We're also cost effective. I'm bringing meals, so we can either choose to eat for lunch or we can either choose to eat for dinner, and it offsets, the pricing. It offsets, you're so it's also a really good tip for that. So trial and error. When we talk about trial and error, that's a good concept. Traveling and making your food, if you can do it and, or if you want to make the healthier choices, do it. You can. And stop thinking so short term. Think long term. Am I going to feel better tomorrow? Is this going to affect the rest of my vacation? Am I going to get sick? You know what I mean? And that's where another issue comes in with the mindfulness of, okay, I have want to do well, but I'm going to just eat this because I really want the taste. But then soon after, you're going to feel like crap. So you need to think long term, honestly, which is hard to do for some people.
Yeah. You gotta get rid of that instant gratification. You have to get your mind right. And I think that's the hardest thing for people. For me, I don't have nearly as many cravings as I used to have, for one, because I'm not underfueling myself anymore. I'm eating clean, mostly whole foods. Sometimes I eat rice and stuff like that. I like a good bagel every now and then,
Hmm.
but it's mostly whole foods. And I don't have nearly as many cravings. Really, the only times that I do have cravings is when I'm on my period and I can get past it and that's fine. When I do have those cravings, yeah, I do want to give in to Reese's peanut butter cups and peanut butter M&Ms are like the two big things that I crave. Or if I want something salty and crunchy, potato chips. And I'm talking about like Pringles or Lay's potato chips, not even the good ones. But when I have those cravings, instead of giving into it just for that quick, this tastes good and that quick dopamine hit, just to immediately feel like crap, immediately be bloated, immediately have a stomach ache, immediately feel like I have grease pouring out of my face. I have to remember my why. Why do I eat healthy? Why do I work out? And it is because, yes, I fuel myself for workouts and stuff like that, but it's more so because I want to live as healthy as I can for as long as I can. I don't want to be 60 years old having to use a walker. I want to be 60 and still going to Arizona and going for hikes or something, I want to be healthy long term. That's what matters. So giving into those cravings or even social things. Oh, my friends want to go eat Mexican or pizza. you can go with them and hang out for the social aspect, and you can either bring your own food, or you can eat before, or you can eat after. You don't have to eat with them to spend time with them. You have to remember why you're doing these things.
I love that, Bama, because I am one of those people. So I love that. I love that you said that because I go out, like I'll eat a ton before if I want to. One of the things we did was go to Mexican food, right? And we had it, and I didn't really eat that much. I didn't really want to. You know what I mean? I didn't, So I like Mexican food, it's just I didn't want that. So I ate what I ate before, went for this, like I just was there hanging out. And it's like, and people kind of look at you funny. When did we unnormalize this? Like when did we make this a thing where people are judging you based off of like not participating in something that you don't want to do? And I think that's a that's a good key. I think you made a very, very important opinion. It was very important
Yeah.
because people aren't like us. Some people are where if you want to go out, you don't have to do everything everyone's doing. You don't have to eat what everyone else is eating. It's people pleasing. It's basically what it is. You're not pleasing yourself. You're pleasing other people.
It's like you're saying that you don't care what other people think, but you're also doing what they're doing, because if you were to eat your own food or not eat at all so that you could eat after, they're basically going to judge you, and you're worried about that. So you actually do care what
Yeah.
people think.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, right? When you think about it. I think that was a really good point, though, because I think we need to normalize allowing people to do whatever they want to do. If they want to come out for hang out and they want to just drink and talk, that's fine too. Not everything has to revolve around food. And I think that is where everything gets disconnected because we've seen things on TV, everything revolves around food, hanging out, parties, what's at a party, what's at drinking. I mean, it's a little different now with the drinking because I believe the statistics went way down. I think it's almost like only 46% of people actually drink alcohol, which is insane.
That is insane.
The Generation Z, I think, is like the ones that are bringing it down. They'd rather have a mocktail now or like a matcha latte than actually drink, which is crazy, So when we were younger, it was beer pong and, Four
Absolutely.
Locos.
Yeah. So gross.
So messed up. But I also want to piggyback off of what you said about being in your 60s and hiking. It's like my mom last year we went to Arizona around this same time and we hiked the Devil's Bridge, I think it's called.
Hmm.
I don't know if you've heard of it. That's a scary hike. I mean, you go up, steep up, all the way. I didn't even make it all the way up. I'm not even gonna lie. I was a chicken shit. I stopped almost. I think I made just below the bridge. I wasn't going any further than that. I also have Lyme, so let's go with that because my perception isn't always the best. So when I'm overworked, it's like I fall off a cliff, or do I just save that for another day?
Yeah.
But my mom, she's afraid of heights. She hiked that whole thing. She went all the way up, took the pictures, went all the way down. And wait, you want to hear a really freaking insane thing? My stepsister-in-law, Allie, I have to shout her out. She was pregnant with my niece, and she carried my nephew on her back and climbed the entire thing. The entire
Crap.
she's very, very into fitness. Like you are, Bama, very, very active. She's strong woman, man. And people stopped and were taking pictures and video and were like, you go, girl. Like, look at you climbing. It was the most coolest thing ever to experience something like that as a woman and be like, holy crap, like, look at her. She just did. My nephew on her back and pregnant and climbed. Devil, that's insane.
That's crazy.
And I stopped almost right below the bridge and I had no baby.
Yeah.
So
That's
I
enough.
did meet a lot of people though. So that was fun.
But yeah, it's longevity. That's what we're going for. Not
Yeah.
the
So
instant gratification, not the instant results. Longevity.
what Bam with all that stuff is being said is a lot of people don't change unless they have something drastically happen to them. And I think that's where I wish things would change more so because I'd rather someone try to be preventative or someone try to want to just be healthier for other reasons. But a lot of the time it takes something so drastic to change your whole life. And I was one of those people, you know what I mean? So I can say that. I don't know
Yeah.
where I would be if I didn't get Lyme disease 4 years ago. And I could tell you I would maybe still be 238 pounds.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's
Or
like
not even here at all.
it was a nightmare for you to go through, but like it has now a blessing in disguise.
It's a huge blessing. I'm so much more healthier. I'm not afraid to go out to eat. I'm not afraid. I used to have to know where a bathroom was all the time because I had IBS so bad. I was, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. I'm so scared. I couldn't do sleepovers. I couldn't travel. Everything was
based off of how my stomach was and it was the most honestly, you I wasn't living. I was just being. I was not living. And then as soon as everything happened, I changed, got my stomach ready. I took a lot of a trial and error. It did, but I got through it. Is what I'm trying to say and what I think we're trying to say is there's a lot of things that work and don't work, and you're gonna have to figure that out on your own. There's no influencer. There's nobody that's gonna be, this is what's gonna work and it's gonna save you. It's gonna take me and Bama, we coach, we do things like that, but that it's still you trying to figure out, okay, is this working? We can guide you, but it's still
Yeah, yeah. And the trial and error is so important because influencers are such a big thing now. Just because it
yeah.
worked for them doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Just because your friend tried this diet doesn't mean that when you try it, you're going to have the same results. Everyone is different. So trial and error is so huge. Try it for a good amount of time because 1 to 2 weeks, usually you have a lot of results. Once you hit week 3, that's when you kind of hit that plateau. You have to get past it.
Mhm.
You have to be patient. You have to be consistent.
Yeah, I absolutely. I hit that plateau so many times, and I got so defeated, and I'd be like, okay, I got to try something new. And that's the point. The point is you have to keep doing what you're doing consistently. You go into the gym, it's just it's a lifestyle. It's just part of your life. It doesn't define you as a person. You're Bama. You're not Bama that goes to the gym every 5 seconds. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And
So,
that's the thing too is people ask me what I do for fun and they expect me to say I go to the gym. No, I like to go hiking. I like to go for a bike ride and not for exercise just because I just enjoy it. I like to just sit at home with my dogs. I like to go out to eat at restaurants. Like I do like to do things. I do have hobbies that are not the gym. It's not my identity. And that's the same with eating healthy. We eat healthy. I swear that people probably think that I'm super boring because I eat healthy. I'm funny.
yeah.
I know I'm funny.
You're all right.
I'm fun.
You are. I can vouch for Bima. She's fun, she's funny, and if anyone thinks otherwise, coming for you.
Thank you.
If I'm not little left right hook uppercut, you know what I mean? I did title boxing for a while.
Hey, listen, I tried that one time. I did a free class, and when I tell
Huh?
you that, like, for 5 days, I was so sore, I felt like I wasn't the same, that was rough. It was fun, it was rough.
I stuck with it for a long time and I loved it. I actually bought gloves. I even got like the shoes. I was like
Yeah.
rocking little Mike Tyson. I loved
Alyssa
it.
Balboa.
Dude, for real. Well, hey, in my family, there was an Olympian boxer. Crazy.
Me.
Oh, that's wild. It ain't me, but I mean, it was wild. Okay, look at me. Come on out.
Yep,
Let's do this. And then I'm doing the jumps up and down in my. Okay, hold on.
too much.
It's just a reverse. But no, it was great. It was fun. I actually loved it. But people do that to me too, Bama. They look at me and they're like, "Well, all you do is eat healthy. Isn't this boring? Isn't this?" And it's I do it because I want to do other things and experience life and have the best out of my life. And that's where I get disconnected with everybody. Some not everybody, most people when they comment on it. You can't look at me like that because that's just not my whole identity. And that's the big problem I have with Lyme disease and the Lyme organizations. And it's you victimize yourself at some point, and you can't victimize yourself when it comes to your mindfulness. That is the worst part because once you start believing and fully embodying what they say you have or a diagnosis, you become that and not who you are. And I think that should be said as well. You're not your disease. You're not a gym rat if you don't want to be called a gym rat. You are just somebody that just wants to live a healthy lifestyle and get the most out of life. There's nothing wrong with that. That's phenomenal.
Yeah. I can't tell you how many people in a day that I see, older people, watching them get up from a chair, they struggle so much. They just walk down a hallway and they're out of breath. I don't want that. I wanna pop up out of that
Yeah.
chair and I wanna walk down a hallway and have a conversation and be totally fine, and it's totally normal because it's not exercise, because I'm just doing normal everyday activity. And one thing I think that would be good to say is people might look at us and think that we just became healthy. We just started eating healthy and boom, that was it. No, I started my journey back in 2017. Been doing this for almost 10 years, and it's taken me that long to get to where I am now. And it's literally just by doing little things, learning about this and learning about this. I knew nothing about nutrition in 2017. I was starving myself because I thought that was healthy. because I wanted to look a certain way. And so I thought it was okay that I was eating 1,200 calories when I was burning 1,400 calories just running and working a kitchen job. So I was burning who knows how many calories a day, and I was only eating 1,200. I didn't know, and I literally had to learn little bit by little bit, try different things to get to where I am now. Here we are almost 10 years later, and I feel like I finally am in a great spot where I can help people and educate people, and I feel now I know what I'm doing, and I still have a lot to learn. There's still so many things that change all the time that I can still learn, and I think that's important for people to know. It doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah. We're both in the same way. I mean, I've been trying to work. I've been trying to work on my body for same amount, probably 10 years, and I definitely knew nothing about nutrition. And I started from like the low FODMAP diet to the Whole 30 to all these things to boxing all the time to I actually would work out I would work out so much, but I would never lose the weight. There was so many factors that played into what was going on with me. And I agree with you on all of that. It was never instant for me. So looking at me now compared to being 238 pounds before, it is different. It's definitely, you could tell by the facial structure, you can tell by everything. And it's like, I look at pictures now, and even my family members look at pictures. Oh my God, Alyssa, I didn't realize how big, inflamed, and overweight you were, basically. And I was like, yeah, it was bad. It was bad,
Yeah.
Bama. And it's not bad because I was just overweight and body shaming. It was because I was so sick, so unhealthy. So fast forward now, and we're both doing really well. And it took us a lot of trial and error to get here. I mean, and in two different paths, right? We did two different things, but we still wound up in the same area of we do feel the best we've felt in a long time. And we are helping people and we are trying to spread the word. And I think that's what's important now is we're here to help people so they don't have to go through the extensive learning that we had to. We're giving them shortcuts in a sense to help find themselves, but doing it in a way that's easier.
Mhm. Yeah. Just gotta be patient. Get your mind right. Be consistent.
How about this? You give one thing that if you had a message to somebody right now that was sitting here and was, you know what, I really do want to get healthy. What would be your message to them about, getting on the right path?
Man, the first thing that comes to mind is we got here, if you think about it, by building small habits. Something as small as I'm gonna, instead of having pancakes smothered in syrup for breakfast every morning, I'm gonna eat eggs in the morning. And then I built off of that habit. And it was just little bitty habits that kept stacking on top of each other. And then all of a sudden, I started seeing results. Not all of a sudden. I can't say it was all of a sudden because it might have been over a year's time. Then I looked back at old pictures of me and I was like, that's what I looked like a year ago. This is what I look like now. Why wouldn't I keep going? And it's little things and you just have to stick with it. Find something that works, stick with it, and then build off of that. Be patient, be consistent.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think that's a great message. And I feel it seems if someone in my boat where you're dealing with an autoimmune or someone that has been dealing with chronic illness for a long time and they feel helpless, really dig deep down inside of you and be what Bama mentioned before. Find your why. Why do you want to feel better? Is it because you just want to beat the autoimmune or is it because you want more out of life? When you start digging deeper into the mindfulness of the why, you'll really figure out, okay, well, I want to do this because I want to be able to say you have kids. I want to be able to play with my kids for a longer period of time, or I want to be able to, run a marathon, or I want to go hiking in Arizona. One of the goals I did set for myself last year was I want to be healthy enough to where I could hike in Arizona and be at that elevation. And with someone who has Lyme disease, elevation and all these things play a role in how my nervous system work. So when I finally went to Arizona and I got into the elevation and I hiked and I did everything, it was the most satisfying and accomplishing thing I think I've ever done in my life because it was a moment of I trusted myself so much. I put trust back into my body, into myself, and I let everything else go, all the fear of that stuff. I was like, no, this is who I am. And when you get there, it's so rewarding. That is my message to anybody that is trying to really, get on a better track and just keep going forward. Don't identify as what you were diagnosed with. Identify yourself as who you want to be and find your why. Bama definitely summed it up pretty well with that.
The only thing I would say is be your best self. define what that means to you and then do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Setting mini goals too are really great. They're not a bad thing. And if you don't accomplish them, you don't feel bad about it because there's so many small steps you make along the way. And those small accomplishments, not putting tons of syrup on a pancake, those are small things, but they add up. They add up so much. So I do. I think when you realize that your body is not something you need to figure out how to control and you just got to figure out how to support, that's when things change.
For sure. I feel like that's a pretty good closeout, other than just telling people to watch Fuel the System podcast, follow us, subscribe.
Yeah. Every Thursday PM Eastern. We try to do it Eastern, but I never know.
7 p.m. Central. Yeah.
But yeah, join us.